Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is another Seton's cast. It's another classic cast. This one was given to me by Jolie. Um, let's have a look at the teams. I think this one is actually pretty old. It's from January 2010, so it's probably one of the oldest you will find on the net. We have here Jolie on rock as Cybran. He was a very good naval player back. I don't know if he was already that good in 2010, but he was a really good naval player. Sadly, his CPU is still not upgraded, so that's why he doesn't play Setons anymore, I think. Here on front we have probably one of the best front players of that. I was tempted to say decade, but well, of that time he was definitely the best, I would say. Emailinator. He was really good. He usually went for a huge spam, and he had templates for everything. He always played south front. Here on beach we have Flying Kangaroo. He's an excellent naval player. He also was very good on air. He's playing Cybran for the south side. And here we have Thamrock. I played with him flying and email a lot back in the days, and he was his best spot was air, I would say. He was also fine on navy. So this is a very strong team we have up here. So let's have a look at the opposition. Let's start with the other rock. Also Cybran is Uwe. He is actually now he doesn't play that much, but he was a top level naval player back then. So I will now go to the front player. That's Mr. White. That's the brother of Uwe. So the brothers are playing together. They played a lot together. Usually one played beach and or usually Uwe played beach and Mr. White played rock. But here we have Mr. White up front. I think Mr. White back then was really strong up front too. I think he gave up his front play a bit and played more the naval spots later on, but I think at that time he was probably pretty close to email up front, so we will find out who has the upper hand there. And here we have another classic Setons player. He has Tag Seton. Well, he has it in his name, so he was also very good, especially on the naval sides. Playing air for the North team, we have Hokuto Shinken, or who, yeah, actually he is now named Hokuto Ryuken, but that's his classic name, Hokuto Shinken. He is probably also a good air player. He's also more known for his naval side, so in terms of air, this will probably be even, and yeah, both naval spots are also very strong, so it's really, I have no idea who's gonna win here or what's gonna happen. So I will speed it up now. We see email directly going with his commander to the front. We see Mr. White doing the same. Maybe Mr. White broke something, I don't know. I need to speed it down a bit. And Mr. White seems to go for a PD here. It was quite common back then, I think. and actually you can see here email has a template for everything. Aeon for the win. He always played Aeon up front. We see Mr. White did not finish the PD. We see 2 scouts. We see a scout here. I think either email did not send an engineer or it died. I'm not 100% sure. We see Mr. White having an engineer that already reclaimed all those brackages here. So Mr. White will definitely have an advantage in terms of reclaim. It looks not perfect commander positioning from email here. I think Mr. White doing a much better job early on. And now we see a couple of Auroras incoming. We see a bomber from Jolie and an interceptor. The interceptor trying to kill the transport, and Tech Seton does the right thing, drops the engineers off. He could also land the transport to save it. So here at minute 4 we also see Uberpeak arriving at this island with 5 engineers, going for the factory first, which is what you should always do. It doesn't look like Flying is particularly interested in grabbing the island, so Uberpeak just got it rather uncontested. Up front now we see, how to tell, at least what we see for sure is email being low on hit points. We see artilleries and a couple of tanks. Mr. White should move his commander at the Aeon RT. You don't want to get shot by. And now looks like Jolie took his island too. He doesn't even plan a factory. I think that's very risky. But of course he drops a couple of engineers here, and that is one. We do not see a factory here from Tech Seton. That is really unusual. I think it was also unusual back in the days. You should always have a factory in that position. And now we see engineers dropped all over the place. Actually here the drama begins. This was almost Tech 2 and it got captured. That is a huge mass loss. And now if Tech Seton doesn't pay attention, he will lose this whole area. Of course we see other captured. This is really bad for Tech Seton. What's Jolie doing here to him? But he recaptures them. That is good, so he doesn't has to rebuild them. But of course, if this PD goes up, this Max might die also. So this is almost a loss of those were both almost Tech 2. So what's gonna happen here up front? Looks like email escaped from death at very low HP. We see oh, I think I missed something here. This was probably a drop by Hokuto. We see some arties left, so he did some damage there. There's still one artillery here. So it looks like they're in all kinds of trouble early on. Looks like email has stabilized. This is about even forces, I would say. And we see a couple of justice for Jolie taking out the Tech 1 naval factories by Tech Seton. So this PD is still in place and this is really bad. I think Jolie should reclaim that wreckage here. That would be very good. So it looks like this early forwarded naval base for Tech Seton will not pay off. We see a destroyer already here by minute 9. This is really early. You will not see a destroyer that early very often on Seton these days. We also see Tech 2 Navy by flying and Tech 2 Navy. So basically we see it directly going to Tech 3 by Tech Seton. But we basically see Tech 2 Navy really early for basically every naval player. Tech Seton is skipping Tech 2, but so now email is in danger here. He cannot take that many artillery shots, I think. this is close to 1000 HP, and we see this is all Hokuto's air, so there will not be any help for email, at least not by air. I think flying should definitely move this destroyer here. There's and he does now. And Jolie should move this destroyer closer so it kills the stream of units coming in. We see a PD going up. I think this push will be stopped by email. Great job by Mr. White so far against email. It's always very tough, and he did a very good job. I think he got much more of the front reclaim early and kept his advantage. Yeah, we see a lot of factories. This is 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We see a bit less. We see 8 here for email. So I think once this push is done, we might email will stop this, I guess, with the destroyers shooting. Not sure it looks like. Actually, this was so early. I mean, so much. I mean, this is almost 2009, so there was no Navy mixing in effect. So you see Tech 3 Naval Yard from Seraphim, Tech 2 UAF shields, Tech 2 Cyberman destroyers, I would think. Yes, Tech 2 Cyberman destroyers, UAF shield boats with Tech 3 subs. So this is insane mix. Now, of course, email has all the reclaimment he's already reclaiming. There were still some tanks. He has only upgraded 4 of his maxes. And it looks like, actually this looks like numbers. We missed this push here, which was not successful. Actually, this one had 32 kills by Jolie, so this was definitely worth it. Tech Seton needs to go and overcharge this destroyer. It's with 3 of those subs. Jolie needs to find, and Jolie actually removes all his build power from his navy. I'm not sure if that is a good move. And we see a push here from Flying Kangaroo. Actually, this might be successful depending on how far the Tech 3 sub. We see emergency destroyer started, and we see the first Tech 3 sub out. Hokuto has 26 ASF, Denmark has 29, so it's almost even. Slight advantage for the bottom side in terms of air. Of course, now we see torpedo bombs coming in. Those ASF must be here, and I'm pretty sure those guys were on Skype. I was on Skype a lot with them. Yeah, we see Tech 2 gunships trying to help out here. With this sub here, that sub was very strong. This factory stopped building. This is bad. Maybe he should go for Tech 2 destroyers at that moment, because yeah, this looks like, oh, and he builds a destroyer. That's definitely a mistake. You should never build a destroyer under those circumstances. So it looks like Overpeak is in trouble here. However, it looks like Jolie has given up his naval production. Don't know why. And now those destroyers basically really stopping Mr. White here. And it looks like email's economy is growing. I must admit I would not have expected Overpeak to be in that much early trouble. And of course now you see Aeon Shields with Cyber Navy. This was the best combination back then. It's also the cheapest. Those shields, there is no overlapping damage. Those destroyers will probably stay here till the end of the game. Unless of course someone wins Air Significant and spams Restorers plus Hokuto. Or also Hokuto does not have any res on his commander. While we just see one res here. I mean, this is 3599 air. You don't need that much power. Actually, now we see the first bigger airfight of the game. It looks like undecided. I think it's still a slight advantage for the bottom side in terms of navy. We see another push. I don't think this will be successful. Those destroyers had a lot of kills before they were given. This is a pity. Nice destroyer wreckage, as it was in the start of the game. Now we see Tech 3 Navy by Jolie 2, so those Tech 3 subs were so strong back then. Looks like no one was not to play with them. We see another airfight, and this time it's pretty close still. It looks like not so good micro by Hokuto, but now a bad turn by Pembroke. It's really hard to tell with these colors. I don't know if you can see it, but for me this one looks almost all the same. So it looks like Hokuto has won. Those are Hokuto's ASF. Yeah, Hokuto has won here, but it's just 25 ASF advantage, so it's nothing that is unstoppable. Those ASF should really help here. Tech Seton pushing with 5 subs against 2, and 1 destroyer against 1 cruiser. So if those, yeah, now he's going in, he should have already done that. This will not be successful for Tech Seton here, which is bad because they really must win a navy side. We see Overpeak here playing defense, getting shields. Yeah, and this is just not useful. You don't need to do that. It's no damage. You can kill one frigate with so much. And you can see here, this is just like 3 destroyers, 4 destroyers, 3 cruisers. But this is such a huge force with all the shields around it. It's really hard to stop. I don't even think they will do nothing to this force. Hokuto should definitely not go in here. Hokuto should try to help Tech Seton to win this navy. And it looks like Mr. White has to retreat once more. And this time there is, another time there's huge reclaim. There's already huge reclaim here. We see Tech 3 land for email. So what do we see here? We see Tech 3 land for Mr. White. No, we don't see Tech 3 land, it's just an engineer. This one was probably brought in with the transport. Yeah. And I think he realized those ships won't do any good. Maybe he can kill off this one or this one if it's unshielded, but this is bad. Tech 2 artillery would have been good for Overpeak. Now Mr. White is in all kinds of trouble here. This navy will probably wipe out of space. Right now it's shooting on the shore, but it will sooner or later do a lot of damage. This destroyer, 54 kills, it probably had as much before, so it's really a hero destroyer. Do we see any nukes or something? Now we see huge Tech 2 power spam by Tech Seton. Tech Seton still has a lot of Tech 2 maxes. Kuto has almost a Tech 3 economy besides those starting maxes, I don't know why. Still no raz. We see double raz here, so it looks like this airplay was a bit more professional than this one by Hokuto back then. Actually, maybe he's getting it now, it looks like it. Yeah, now he gets it. He should get the second one right away and then reclaim all his pigeons. Nevertheless, Hokuto had more ASF, so there is nothing bad to say about it. Now we see Tech 3 Seraphim shields with Siren destroyers and Seraphim subs with Siren stealth sonar, so this is a very good navy composition. We see here Tech 3 subs, or the chicken is done, but this was not well planned for Mr. White. This was a huge mistake, and they did not scout, so again, more reclaim. Actually, probably this is decided the game here. I don't know if why they did not see it, but this was a huge mistake. And what is Overpeak doing? Overpeak is getting a non-max related economy. Of course, he has still quite an okay mass income. This is bad now for Mr. White. They will not finish this in time. Mr. White needs to run, but he will lose his pace. I don't think Hokuto can stop it. Actually, it looks like Hokuto has lost the air now. And with the GC incoming, I do not see any hope for the top side. Actually, I think this game is over. 29-minute game. Mr. White will die here, I think. I don't think... no, Mr. White dies. The GC will not be finished. This Hokuto does not have air anymore, so there is no way to stop this GC. And Jolie will also win this navy fight here. The Seraphim shields are just too good. Jolie should micro, yeah, he does not. Well, actually it was a pretty one-sided game, I would say, but well, not really. Early on, Mr. White had the advantage. He got more reclaim. It was close, and if at that point those navies could not shoot him, he might actually have succeeded here, which would have turned the game completely. Then there was this unsuccessful push by Tech Seton. Yeah, and of course Overpeak basically lost navy to the first 4 destroyers. That's very unlike him, because he's usually very good. I think he underestimated the build time of all this. He got Tech 2 UEF, Tech 2 Siren, and Tech 3 Seraphim. I think that was probably a mistake. He did not have enough build power also. And yeah. And Jolie had, of course, the much bigger economy, and was able to defeat Tech Seton here. Then the huge mistake up front with the wasted chicken bot. Yeah. So this was, I think this was my shortest cast. I hope you still enjoyed it. I think it was more, it was like top level back then. I think the quality of play um, has improved a lot since then. You will rarely see in a pro game that a chicken runs into a GC just to die with Navy shooting at him. You will just not see it that often. Um,
Yeah.